I'm interested to see what you thought of this comment by Stan Van Gundy during last night's game between the Mavericks and the Timberwolves. He was giving Kyrie and Luka a lot of love. Here he is.
Dallas, they have two guys that are pretty electrifying as well.
Yeah, and Minnesota's top-rated defense is going to be challenged trying to slow them down. Arguably the best offensive backcourt in the history of the NBA in Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving.
Did you say history?
In the history of the NBA.
All right, Rob, your thoughts.
He said arguably. He didn't say anything. He didn't.
Are they arguably?
I mean, you could just put it in and have a conversation. He said arguably. He didn't say to me, they're the best backcourt I've ever seen. And blah, 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 like that's not what he said. And to say arguably, because Reggie was like, in history, he took the history part rather than the arguably. That softens the blow. He didn't make any definitive statement about them.
I think he did. Because
I
you don't just say
think,
you're not going to say Paul George is arguably the best small forward ever.
Yeah, Chris, you can
when
say
you say arguably, it is giving some legitimacy to it.
Yeah, but it's not definite where you're saying, to me, if he says you're watching the best backcourt, outscoring backcourt in the history of the NBA, now we got a conversation. That's not like couching it. He's basically said, I'm saying how great they are, but if you want to bring in another duo and another a pair and talk about it, we could do that. I don't think anybody would be against talking about where they fit in, because obviously they're both dynamic players and they have such ability. But the arguably is the one that softened it for me.
So you think it's arguable?
Yeah, I think you could I think it's worth a conversation.
That they could be the best offensive backcourt ever.
Yeah,
do accomplishments matter? Because if accomplishments matter, they can't be. And in the discussion, they've been together for a season. Now, they in the future, maybe. But right now, if accomplishments have to matter, and these two have been together for parts of 2 seasons.
Well, Chris,
and the first season they didn't even make the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think that's when you talk about, we just look at it differently. When you say arguably, that means that you could have a conversation. That's the only thing.
I'm just asking
that's the way I look at it. So you're saying you can't even have
accomplishments matter.
What do you haven't been around long enough to say accomplishments matter?
Precisely. So accomplish some things, then we can talk. I mean,
Chris, that was your argument about.
If they win the championship, if they win this championship, then we can talk. Or even if they don't, Rob, win a championship, but they play together for the next 3 years, and they're both continue to be great individually, and they at least are a really good team and a contender, then we can talk.
But see,
but
Chris,
they've won 2 series together.
But that was your argument too about the Joker, and when people didn't want him to win that 3rd straight because he hadn't accomplished anything yet. And then what does he go on to do? He didn't win the MVP. He goes on as a historic playoff run.
That was not my argument.
That you were one of the people talking about like you had a hard time because he hadn't done anything in the postseason.
No, I thought Embiid had a better year.
No, I'm not saying that was the only reason that you voted for him.
That wasn't an argument why I didn't vote for him.
No.
He hadn't won a championship.
But it was about the history of winning 3 in a row, and the other guys who had done it had won something, and that was one of the things that you had an issue with.
It's only a couple guys that won 3 in a row. I mean, you're talking about who? Larry Bird and Bill Russell? I don't know if Wilt or maybe Wilt's in there, but yeah, I mean, you're only talking about a couple guys that did that. Look, skill-wise and ability-wise, these two are phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal. But accomplishments have to count too. It's not just, his bag is awesome. He's the best ever. No, you gotta, it's like rappers. Like, there are a lot of underground backpackers that got incredible wordplay, but you got to make some good songs if you want to be considered like an all-time great rapper. And it's the same thing in this. You have to accomplish some things. Now, they might be on their way to accomplishing something great, And that if they just win this championship, then I think it's arguable. I wouldn't even say arguable that they're the best, but certainly one of the best. Because I think the best is clearly Steph and Klay. I think they're the best backcourt ever, but clearly the best offensive backcourt ever. You got the best shooter of all time and arguably the second best shooter of all time. And they won 4 championships together.
2 because Kevin Durant was there.
Well, so they won 2 championships together, if you want to say without Durant. I mean, that's huge. Small players leading the team to 2 championships. It's only been done one other time with Isaiah Thomas and Joe Dumars. And I think they're one of the best. I think they're the second best backcourt ever. And the third best offensive backcourt ever. So I'm just saying, like, I got Jerry West and Gail Goodrich. You got Parker and Ginobili. You got Walt Frazier and Earl Monroe. Now, these two, all those 5, 10 I just mentioned, 10 players, they're all Hall of Famers. And as backcourt duos, they all won championships. So it's like Rob saying somebody can be the GOAT without winning a championship. We talked about it earlier with Wilt. I mean, Wilt even won 2, but you have to accomplish some things before somebody can put you in the GOAT conversation, which is what Stan was doing in terms of backcourt, offensive backcourts. So, I don't think it's a crazy statement in terms of, these dudes have incredible games. Kyrie's the best ball handler in NBA history, one of the best finishers, and Luka Doncic, when it's all said and done, could be top 10, 15 player of all time. But you got to accomplish something first. I think that's why Reggie was so stunned.
No, Reggie said history.
But that's what we're talking about.
No, but Reggie took it. I'm just going to.
But aren't we talking about history?
But Reggie took it as if he was already saying they were. And Chris,
he's saying they're in the discussion.
He said, yeah, but you could have a discussion. It doesn't mean that they're there, that they're at the top.
Rob,
to say that they're not
in,
to say that they're not in a discussion, you just made a big deal about Luka being Larry Bird, and Kyrie's already hit the one of the biggest shots, if not the biggest shot in NBA history, and you talk about the all-time best ball handler. So when you add those things together, it's not ridiculous to just have a conversation. I'm not saying that they are, but it ain't like out of left field that they could even want to pose the question or even have them included in that. You could still pick
you think it's
other
arguable.
people. I'm just saying, I think that you could have a conversation.
You're not, because I don't know what you're saying. If you're saying, they're in that discussion.
You could have a conversation. Or are you saying,
but I could have a conversation. And like I said earlier, Paul George is the best small forward ever. I can have a conversation. Now I might get trounced, but I can have a conversation about that.
I don't think he said anything that's so dramatic. I just don't. I really don't.
So tell me why they're then in the discussion.
Because of the things I just brought up. You said that one guy.
Tell me what I said. Tell me why are they in the discussion?
Because everybody thinks Luka's 5 years, 5-time first team NBA.
Well, most of that was without Kyrie.
Kyrie would have won a championship
together.
Hit a big basket. Well,
you
just saw it last night. They won on the road in the Western Conference Finals. They each scored 30 points.
They won one.
So what? But that's the only game they played together. That's the only game they played together.
They've been together a year and a half.
I'm talking in the Western Conference Finals. How many games did they play in the Western?
They've been together a year and a half.
How many games in the Western Conference Finals?
He said it before the game.
What
are you talking about?
No, but I'm talking about we saw that last night. It was an example of it. That they each scored 30 points.
Basically, to me, Rob, what this is you like definitive statements. And I think the real point you're trying to make...
They make great radio shows, definitive statements. They make great radio shows.
Can I finish? I think...
I'm just trying to give you some radio history, that's all.
Yeah, okay, thank you. You like definitive statements, and because, in your opinion, Stan did not say something 100% definitive, you feel like it's like, well, whatever. He didn't even say anything. Am I right or about that? Because you do that a lot, and that's fine. I'm just saying, to me, that seems to be your biggest issue, more so than whether or not these two
He
are
didn't
a
go
top
out
backcourt
on the
ever.
limb, Chris, and say that they were.
Okay,
and that's
he
all.
didn't.
That's
But
so.
that's
So
fine.
I'm good
Can we
with
still-
that.
can we
I'm
discuss
good with that.
What he said?
He
Can
didn't
we
say
discuss what he-
anything.